It's not just another day in your life. Things are changing for the better. At Comcast, we see those changes, and we're thinking about how we use technology today to live, work, learn, and play. And we're building for the future now, so we're better prepared for the wants and needs of tomorrow. That's why Comcast is rolling out multi-gig internet speeds to more than 50 million homes and businesses before the end of 2025, making our already industry-leading network even faster, smarter, greener, and more reliable. Over the decades, Comcast has been your partner, working hard to serve your community, and will continue to be your partner. We're expanding our gigabits so you can enjoy the tiny bits that matter most.
Before she became an autism advocate and mom of 4, Shaletta Brundage was an Emmy Award-winning comedian. Need something to put a smile in your face? Laughing with Letta is sure to tickle your funny bone. Check it out, but pee first and make sure you ain't drinking nothing when Shaletta's on a roll. That way you won't have anything to clean up when the podcast is over.
Welcome to the Laughing with Letta podcast, and there's nothing I love more than laughing with the GOV. The governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, is joining us. Thank you so much for being on the show.
It's great to be here. Great to see you branching out into podcasts on different fronts. But,
look at this. Am I legitimate right now? Oh,
tell the story.
Hello. Anything is possible. And the one thing that you have done in Minnesota, and the reason that my company is so successful, is that you really care about small businesses. Back in February, we had the first ever Black Entrepreneurs Day at the Capitol. You were there. LT was there. Keith Ellison was there. Carrie Diesick, Melissa Hortman, Julie Blaha, Carla Bingham. Everybody was there to support 300 Black business owners. Talk to me about One Minnesota and how your budget is going to shore up our small businesses.
Well, first of all, thanks for that, and thanks for putting that on. Not only is it the right thing to do to make sure that everybody gets an opportunity to thrive here, the economic reality of this is this state is going to be more and more dependent on Black-owned businesses. It's going to be the entrepreneurs that come out of that community. And I think most of us recognize there have been historical barriers, both access to capital, some of the things that need to happen. So I think focusing on, first and foremost, healthy families, access to health care, access to paid family medical leave, those things that small businesses need to compete with large businesses, and then making sure the funding's there, making sure some of the grants coming through DEED that lots of new business to be able to start up, get access to the capital, workforce training, with a recognition that we're going to have to set aside some of that money specifically for the Black community to thrive. And now we know that you were talking about communities all across the state, but we know that there's a vibrant community here in the Twin Cities. The money to rebuild on Lake Street, and some of the things after we saw the civil unrest, and then the bonding bill, to be very, very specific, to take state money to be able to invest in those institutions, those businesses, those opportunities that are there. So I think on so many fronts, whether it's reducing poverty amongst children, but more importantly, generational wealth, home ownership, business ownership, access to business capital, and being able to provide. I think these small businesses, when people heard paid family and medical leave, some of the talk was, how are we going to afford to do this? Look, let's be honest. All of the big employers already offer it because it's how they attract employees. We want small entrepreneurs to be able to say, look, you come work for me. I can give you a living wage. We got paid family medical leave, got health care. I think that's the transformational piece. We can't afford to have a single person leave the state. We know that workforce is a big deal, and that spirit that we've had of entrepreneurship needs to, I think, be reinvigorated.
And I think it has. You look at Revitalizing Rondo, what's going on in North Minneapolis with folks like Houston White and Anissa Keys and Tito Wilson, and those Black entrepreneurs seeing an opportunity to not just survive, but thrive. You know, my mother was telling me, you can come to Texas and do what you're doing in Minnesota, and you know, you're so far away from your family. And I said, Mom, I cannot do with my business in Texas what I'm doing with Minnesota, because you and your leadership team have set it up so that I have access to capital, access to banks, access to deed, access to opportunities, and those don't exist in my home state.
No, and I appreciate you saying that, and I appreciate the list of names. It's no secret Houston White is a good friend of mine. Houston's one who took me alongside, and he's a DC guy and knows us, and he says, look, in DC, Black folks run the community. We run the businesses. We do all this. He said, the thing here is, where do we go after work here? Where do we go? So Houston's doing all these things. He said, well, I got to learn how to golf so I can work with you. That's what he said. So of course he's great at it now. And he shows up wearing his own designer clothing that he made himself. I said, that's the type of attitude when he talks about his Camden neighborhood, about trying to bring things back and just a sense of pride that, look, we're here. We've got the ideas. We've seen some of these barriers in the past hold us back, but it's not there now. Let's create a vibrant community, because he said otherwise folks are going to move. Yeah. They will move, maybe not to Texas, but they may move to DC. Yeah. They may move to others. And I said, we need to make sure that this is the place where they can succeed. And, when you've got an entrepreneur like Houston, he's got his hand in everything in some of the folks. Yeah. So I'm excited about it. I think you're right that this revitalizing Rondo, telling the stories. People are asking, why are you guys looking at this land bridge? Why are you trying to do that? Because the stories are there. Our kids don't know them all, and they need to see it again. And there's a whole generation of kids ready to go. Yeah, and I appreciate the fact that you don't just talk about it. A lot of the people at the Black Entrepreneurs Day on February 3rd was like, this is just rhetoric. I'm not coming for this. We hear these stories all the time about what folks are going to do for us, and then they disappear until it's election time again. But you actually put your words into action. How important is it that what you say lines up with what you do? It has to. Again, I'm grateful people have the patience they have. I was just, I was over in North Minneapolis at a black church, and last fall I was over there, and I said, look, I know all you folks sitting in here today on a Sunday know that two things are sure as anything. Sun's gonna rise, and white politicians are gonna come to the black church right for the election. Parade! And they're gonna ask us for it. But I was there last week again. Talking about some of the things we're doing on access to affordable drugs in that case. I think it's more important now than ever that we see a close connection. I think that's what happened between this election and this legislative session. I don't think many of us in our lifetimes saw the connection close enough where, look, I went out and voted last year. The legislature got to work, and here's what I'm getting out of this to make a difference on that immediately. Because I think there's folks, rightfully so, have lost trust. I think there's a black community that says, look, do you, because we hear it all the time, you just come to us to tell us this or whatever. It has to be more. And I think the focus on certainly training workforce, certainly on education, certainly on home ownership, certainly on poverty reduction, but don't miss the part that we have entrepreneurs that are talking about creating jobs for a lot of others. And the idea now that we've got black entrepreneurs saying, look, I've taken my rightful place here. I need to be in those boardrooms. I need to sit on those boards. I need to be, whether I'm working, at a Fortune 500 company or starting my own business, Minneapolis needs to be known for that. And so I appreciate you saying so, but I think we're standing on the shoulders of giants who for a long time said, look, we know all the things that, Minnesota's got to grapple with. Gaps in healthcare, gaps in home ownership, gaps in educational outcomes. Those things are starting to close. This year we said, this generation can't wait another 20 years. No. They need the money this year. They need to see the opportunities this year. So I'm glad you feel like you're seeing some of it. I think you're going to see a massive acceleration of that over the coming months. Well, I thank you so much for being on the show and for what you're doing for small business owners. And you guys, be sure to tune in next week. You never know who we're going to have on the show on Laughing with Letta.
That girl is crazy, in a good way. To check out previous episodes, log on to her website, SheLettaMakesMeLaugh.com. You can also check out where she's appearing next and score cool merch.
Hi, I'm Shaletta Brundage. I'm a media personality, podcaster, and a business owner. But my most important role is mom. 3 of my beautiful kids have been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. When I didn't know who to trust or where to turn, I found ACRA. ACRA provides home care services to families all over Minnesota. The care is not one size fits all. They know each one of my kids is unique. They listen to what resources we needed and what's best for our family. I've seen my kids grow and thrive with ACRA's in-home care. While autism is the most common diagnosis among ACRA clients, ACRA offers personalized in-home care services for people with disabilities, chronic illnesses, behavioral diagnosis, and mental illness. They work with children, adolescents, and older folks too. Find out more about ACRA at their website, acrahomecare.org. ACRA helps me provide my kids with a better quality of life. they can do it for your family too.
Do you worry that lead-based paint in your older home might be dangerous to your children or kids who visit you? Well, Hennepin County put those fears to rest. Hennepin County offers free lead tests and home assessments. If they find anything, eligible homeowners and landlords can receive up to $15,000 for work on the home, including new windows. The government banned lead-based paint 45 years ago when it was discovered that lead poisoning can affect development and cause permanent damage in young children. But 75% of those homes built before 1978 still contain some lead-based paint. As the paint degrades, it can make dust that little kids ingest when they're crawling and putting things in their mouths. So make sure your home is safe and hazard-free. Learn about testing and that $15,000 grant at hennepin.us/lead control. That's hennepin.us/lead control.
Are you up to date on your COVID-19 vaccinations? It's not a one and done situation. You and your family may have gotten the original COVID-19 vaccine, but the virus keeps changing, and now new variants are circulating in our community and continue to make people sick. Getting updated COVID-19 vaccines will protect you from the original strain and these newer variants. The number of updated doses you need depends on your age, your health conditions, and your previous vaccinations. So talk to your doctor or healthcare provider to be sure you've received at least one updated vaccine and boosters. You know Shaletta makes you laugh, but did you know Shaletta Brundage can also make you think and boost your business? Media personality, activist, and comedian Shaletta Brundage founded Shaletta Makes Me Laugh to celebrate and share the best of Black culture. It's a podcasting platform. You can download 10 weekly podcasts hosted by African-American subject experts at ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com is also a production house, creating broadcast quality commercial content. And Shaletta and her team of storytellers create powerful promotional campaigns to get businesses the brand awareness they're looking for. Some of Minnesota's top businesses trust Shaletta, and you can too. Get out the word about your events and products and get in front of communities of color with ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. She's got the power to help your business.